Bitter criticism, the third bus episode. People must say that this is I don't know, precarity. This is precarious, but my bus is coming. I guess the bus will not stop.
Wow, medio paseo.
I couldn't hear what the bus driver said. I guess this very episode will be short because I'm not going too far. Anyway, I guess this is not so precarious, but I guess this is funny. I guess it's creative. Anyway, and I wonder how many people in the USSR had two cameras, I mean two cell phones. I know they had cell phones, but what about smartphones with cameras? Anyway, bitter criticism. We are criticizing the USSR now. Anyway, healthcare in Syria is at risk of collapse. My question here is that there are healthcare in Syria. That's the news for me. I thought that they had nothing. I mean, no roads, no roads, not nothing. But apparently they are not doing so bad as they in the United States, where there's not healthcare. But anyway, healthcare in Syria is at risk of collapse. The Brussels Conference on Supporting the Future of Syria and the region must enable meaningful change. This is by Valeria Golisade. Valeria Golisade Jaikar. A beautiful journalist, look. Call me, Valeria, call me. Syria Country Director, the Relief International. This was published on May 24, 2024. Anyway, let's read it. This is from Al Jazeera. A doctor adjusts the, I don't know how to say this, 4-drip administering chemotherapy to a patient at the Hematology and Oncology Center in Idlib Central Hospital, Ali Aj Suleiman, Al Jazeera. So they have chemotherapy, Hematology and Oncology Center. Despite they are completely destroyed, they have attention. This is good news for American citizens moved to Syria to get attention. On April 30, the European Union's 8th annual conference on supporting the future of Syria and the region in Brussels started with a day of dialogue. Members of Syrian civil society, representatives of United Nations agencies and international NGOs and political leaders from the EU and other stakeholder countries came together to debate and and strategize how to say this word, strategize and strategize about the most pressing humanitarian issues affecting the region. On Monday, May 2027, the conference will continue with a ministerial segment aimed at mobilizing financial support for people in need in Syria. Ministers attending this important gathering will need to take urgent action to avert the escalation of the healthcare crisis affecting millions of Syrians. Keep reading the list of 4-item list. Anyway, let's see what it's all about. Today, many Syrian communities are facing circumstances more dire than ever before. Health services, already largely dependent on chronically underfunded NGOs, in the absence of an organized healthcare system, are now at risk of collapse due to the threat of the significant aid cuts. My organization, Relief International, has been one of the main healthcare providers in northern Syria since 2011. Yet we have been struggling to meet the needs of people who have already endured 13 years of conflict. Like other organizations active in the region, we are being forced to focus on basic healthcare and scale down to the provision of more advanced and specialist care, which is desperately needed. For Relief International and the 7 other organizations we work with in northwest Syria, any cuts could mean the shuttering of tens of hospitals, pediatric intensive care units, mobile clinics, and specialized services including cancer screening clinics, dialysis units, blood banks, and gender-based violence units. As a result, more than millions more people could be unable to access the healthcare they need. A good question is, how many inhabitants are there in Syria? I'm not sure about this. I'm kind of a coward, you know. If I was living in Syria, I'm just gonna fly to Norway and never come back. Don't matter if I die in Norway. Even before the cuts for this year were announced, healthcare in Syria was in ruins due to the escalating hostilities, the COVID-19 pandemic, and the last February's devastating earthquake. There was already a severe lack of medical professionals, medication, and equipment. In a report produced with the Syrian American Medical Society last year, we highlighted the plight of cancer patients in northwest Syria. Just 3 oncologists serve a population of 5.1 million people, and radiotherapy treatment is not freely available, leaving many patients helpless. It is not hard to imagine the devastating impact further funding cuts will have on cancer care. Earlier this year, health workers in one hospital reported that there haven't been any free pediatric beds since November. Mothers who have traveled more than 20 kilometers to seek care for their children are being turned away because facilities are too overrun to devices after being seriously injured by the war and last year's earthquake. Many families were already struggling to pay for transportation to access free health services. Now, as there are even fewer facilities offering free care, many of these families will have to make do without any care whatsoever. Well, it's been a good article. There's just more one paragraph. I'm not sure about this. No, it's kind of no. There's a whole page about. But this is my first, or something like that. One of my first actual Al Jazeera articles I am reading. As aid organizations, we are doing everything we can to help patients. Relief International and its partners are training existing professionals on underserved conditions such as malnutrition and mental health, and grouping health facilities together to create networks with increased collaboration, capacity, and the quality of care. But these creative solutions, the best we can do, the resources available are not enough to meet the healthcare needs of Syrian communities in desperate need. Yeah, tell me about the United States of America. They don't have nothing, you know. Ministers who will come together in Brussels to discuss Syria on Monday must take a series of urgent steps to sustainably resolve the healthcare crisis in the region. First, they must restore funding and scale up resources. Funding must be restored and as quickly as possible to keep life-saving health facilities open. And dwelling resources must urgently be replenished and scale it up to meet ever-increasing needs on the ground. Second, they must invest in building up Syria's health workforce. Syria's healthcare workforce is in a dire need of investment, including more training for new and existing health professionals, as well as more accredited training programs. Third, they must allocate funds for more specialist equipment and medication to be made available in the region. Healthcare workers caring for Syrians are struggling with a lack of equipment and medication required to provide a secondary and higher level care. Most healthcare facilities in North Syria do not have the necessary equipment to perform high-level surgeries or the medication necessary to treat conditions like cancer and heart disease. It is crucial to ensure that all Syrians once again have access to more than just basic healthcare in their home country. Fourth, they must ensure all new approaches are coordinated. For meaningful change to be achieved in Syria, all stakeholders should work together. Critically, local authorities, aid groups, and the private sector must collaborate closely on new approaches. Resources must be utilized strategically, ensuring that solutions are coordinated and that healthcare does not become more fragmented. Today, there are numerous crises which deserve our attention and support across the world. But the people of Syria must not be forgotten. Monday's meeting must mark the beginning of meaningful long-term change. And this is a message from Al Jazeera. The views expressed in this article are the author's own and do not necessarily reflect Al Jazeera editorial stance. Again, Valeria Gosilade, a Syrian beautiful woman, Gaikar, Syria Country Director and Relief International. Valeria Gosilade Gaikar is country director at Relief International in Syria, where she oversees 47 health facilities and 22 protection spaces for communities in need. She also leads a consortia that convenes Syria's principal health actors and is committed to driving tangible and sustainable improvements in the country. Before joining Relief International, Valeria held key roles with aid organizations in Jordan, Myanmar, and Nepal. She has a Master in International Affairs specializing in security and conflict management from the Graduate Institute of International and Development Studies, IHEID, in Geneva, Switzerland, as well as Bachelor in International Studies from the Florence University in Italy. So, such a beautiful woman, super smart. Call me Valeria. Anyway, what's behind Norway's recognition of Palestinian statehood? News: Israel-Palestine conflict. This is Al Jazeera. What's behind? So this is kind of a conspirational article. Norway's leaders say recognizing Palestine is a first step in the push towards a two-state solution. This is by Giorgio Cafiero, published on 24 May 2024. Norway, alongside Ireland and Spain, recently announced its decision to formally recognize Palestinian statehood based on the pre-1976 borders, starting from Tuesday. This is a lot, a lot of territory, I guess. I'm not sure what is 1967, but that's it. Predictably, as the Palestinian Authority and Hamas welcomed this development, the Israeli government lashed out by quickly withdrawing its ambassadors from Oslo, Dublin, and Madrid, and summoning the Norwegian, Irish, and Spain representatives in Tel Aviv. Prime Minister Jonas Gahr Store explained that Norway's decision was in support of moderate forces that are on a retreating front in a protracted and cruel conflict. He said the move is an investment in the only solution that can bring lasting peace in the region, in the Middle East. Two states living side by side in peace and security. Analysts were not surprised by Norway's move, which comes 30 years after it hosted the Oslo Accords, the early 1990s peace agreements that ultimately failed. The Norwegian population has over a long time been moving towards a more pro-Palestinian view. The political establishment has been more hesitant, not least because of its close ties to the U.S. John Olaf Utik, a professor of Middle East Studies at the University of Oslo, told Al Jazeera, since the outbreak of the current conflict, popular opinion has swung over even further towards the Palestinian cause. He cast the recognition as an important symbolic move, and one that is easier to make than, for instance, cutting off all investments linked to Israel by the Norwegian sovereign wealth fund. With European countries deeply divided by Israeli war on Gaza, Norway has moved closer to those who vocally support Palestinian rights to self-determination and basic dignity. You know, I remember this soccer team in Chile. There's a Palestinian soccer team here, and yeah, I have a jersey from them, but somehow I never put the jersey, not even to take a picture, because I'm not sure, you know, I'm not sure about what's happening, you know. As I always say, I guess the big problem here is SWIFT system, because Israel capitalism will keep giving money to Israel. That's my opinion. And Israel, I guess suddenly anytime soon everybody will forget about Palestine, you know. And what is worst, the capitalism system, even if they granted the rights for Palestinian people, I mean, if Palestinian people they got the state, the whole system, even Palestinian people will keep supporting Israel on the SWIFT system. So I guess this is even worse than people, I guess they are simplifying all this subject, you know. Anyway, so in the end, we quote, "We can't wait any longer." Espen Barth Eide, Norway's foreign minister, recently told Al Jazeera, "The only viable long-term settlement which can bring peace to the Palestinian people and the Israeli people is a two-state solution. These two states, of course, must have logical territories. A lot will have to change." I guess even though Palestinian people under capitalism, they will keep supporting Israel, because Zionists they run capitalism. This is just my opinion, you know. This is just my impression. I guess the rich people, they have this necessity to believe in Zionism or something like that. Israel and Palestine. What were the Oslo Accords? The Oslo Accords were the first direct Palestinian-Israel peace agreement. Look, there was with Bill Clinton and Yasser Arafat. And says they were meant to initiate future peace talks with the desired goal of a two-state solution, which was never achieved. The agreement was negotiated in Oslo, Norway, and signed at the White House on September 13, 1993. Looking back, Oslo's position on the Israel-Palestine conflict has been steady. Norwegian officials have maintained high levels of support for the United Nations Relief and Works Agency for Palestinian Refugees, UNRWA, and have been quick to demand a ceasefire after the latest conflict erupted. Previously, Norway has condemned the Israeli occupation before the International Court of Justice. It does not export weapons to Israel and has sanctioned some extremist settlers. Norway believes that Israeli settlement activity on occupied land is illegal under international law and hinders the peace process, and is in firm relief on a two-state solution as the only durable solution, said Hassini Ransala, Lija Nahe, a doctoral research fellow at the University of Oslo's Political Science Department. She described Norway as a prominent mediator of multiple conflicts in the world that has always focused on peaceful solutions. Norwegian mediation is characterized by a willingness to provide long-term assistance, impartial facilitation of peace talks, and close cooperation with parties in conflict, she added. Oslo's recognition of a Palestinian state also underlines its support for the Arab Peace Initiative, which calls for recognition of Israel's right to exist and normalization of ties in exchange for its withdrawal from lands captured since 1967, and a Palestinian state with East Jerusalem as its capital. Quote, to me it seems the announcement is designed to create attention for this initiative and contribute to the diplomatic momentum to increase European support for the Arab peace plan. Sverke Ronde Sajegaard, a doctoral researcher at the University of Oslo, told Al Jazeera. I was with my headphones turned on, so I lost a lot of energy. Anyway, the government has been emphasizing throughout the day that this is not in any way a sign of support for Hamas, but a sign of support for forces and actors that seek a non-violent solution to the conflict within both Israel and Palestine, to provide a glimmer of hope in a dark time, so to speak, he added. Israel's latest and deadliest war on Gaza has killed almost 36,000 people, most of them women and children. Its campaign began after Hamas, the group that governs the Gaza Strip, launched an unprecedented incursion into southern Israel, during which 1,139 people were killed and dozens captured. Strong diplomatic move. Oslo's recognition of a Palestinian state may also bode well for Norway's image and reputation in the global south. Definitely. Well, Norway is always doing great. I guess there's a lot of inflation over there, but as an Italian citizen, I guess I'm going to move there. But the problem is I have 3 dogs now, and I cannot abandon these dogs, I guess. Lija Nahe said Oslo's strong diplomatic move signals support for people in the Middle East and Muslim world, as well as citizens of global South nations who suffer from violence and protracted conflicts. Norway will stand as a state that acts against war crimes and violations of international humanitarian law, and a state that recognizes another state's legitimate right to defend its citizens and borders. Norwegian politicians have also acknowledged the risks of applying international law inconsistently and the message that sends to non-Western audiences. Doing and saying popular things rarely hurt a country standing. And although I do not see this as the primary motivation here, the Minister of Foreign Affairs has long been vocal about how Norway and the West cannot afford to be seen as hypocritical, Sazigar said, if the West wants the world to be outraged about Russia in Ukraine, it needs to be outraged about Israel in Gaza. That's a good one. I guess this is not the NATO guy. I don't remember the Norwegian from NATO. I don't remember. Noting how Arab movements welcomed Norway's recent move, Hug Lovat, a senior policy fellow at the European Council on Foreign Relations, said the move goes some small way to counter Global South perceptions of European double standards and blind support for Israel. No, I guess it's simpler than this. It's not double standards, it's just the system, you know? It's just the capitalist system. Israel is a place where all these liberalists, these liberal people, I guess, my opinion, liberal people, they need to believe in something. And Jew people, Jewish religion, they support capitalism. So, do you want a friendly religion for your capitalism success? Well, Zionism. And that's what happened. It's not double standards. I guess Norway is imperialist, and I mean Europe is imperialist, and they want to keep doing well. That's it. And as people need to believe in something, they ended up believing in Zionism. Well, final demise of the Oslo peace process. It seems as though Oslo has realized that the time has come to approach the Israel-Palestine issue in the new ways and abandon failed approaches from previous decades. Jordan Jensenhaugen, a senior researcher at the Peace Reach Institute Oslo, said the Prime Minister has implied that he believes that since there is no peace process, waiting for one to start as the war rages on is no longer a viable alternative. Lovat added, this move by Norway, in my opinion, also symbolizes the final demise of the Oslo peace process and the urgent need to elaborate a new post-Oslo peacemaking strategy, which should involve concrete steps to challenge Israeli occupation and support Palestinian rights. The hope is that a strong endorsement of Palestinian self-determination can demonstrate to the Palestinian public that diplomacy can deliver results and provide a credible alternative to armed violence. Well, this was my second, I guess, my second Al Jazeera article I ever read. It's been great. So, TikTok curbs state-affiliated media amid foreign influence fears. Actually, honestly, I guess Al Jazeera is not that critical, I guess Al Jazeera is more like soft, Al Jazeera is too soft to me. Economy. Video sharing app says state-backed accounts will not be recommended or allowed to advertise outside home countries. And TikTok is one of the world's most popular social media platforms. TikTok, the most popular video sharing app, has announced new curbs on state-affiliated media amid concerns about foreign interference in a major election year. The Chinese-owned platform said on Thursday that state-affiliated media accounts will no longer be recommended in users feeds or allow it to advertise to audiences outside their home countries. This is an additional measure to prevent accounts from attempting to reach wider communities on these topics. TikTok said in a statement, TikTok said it will also introduce a new dictated transparency report on covert influence operations and disclose more information about operations it has previously removed. During the first 4 months of 2024, TikTok identified and disrupted 15 influence operations and 301 associated accounts, including campaigns related to Indonesia's presidential election and political discussions in the UK, it said. Today's updated bill on our long-standing effort to foster authenticity on our platform, TikTok said, from enforcing robust policies against harmful misinformation to investing in media literacy for our community through in-app features and educational campaigns. We will continue to aggressively protect our platform's integrity while empowering our community to create and enjoy authentic content and interactions on TikTok. I never, I guess I have an account, but I don't care much about TikTok. I prefer Instagram. The announcement comes after the United States last month passed legislation to force TikTok to divest from its Chinese owner, ByteDance, or face a ban. This is more interesting. Next, I will read this. Passes a legislation to force TikTok to divest from its Chinese owner. This is more interesting. While other social media platforms such as Meta and X have faced criticism for hosting foreign influence campaigns, TikTok has come under particular scrutiny due to its Chinese ownership. Lawmakers and national security officials in the US and other Western countries have claimed that the platform could be used by Beijing to spy on users and manipulate public debate. Yeah, that's the fear, but I guess that's not real. That's not real. TikTok, which is challenging the constitutionality of the new law forcing its scale in the US courts, has repeatedly denied handing over user data to the Chinese government and insisted it will refuse any request to do so. 7 out of the world's 10 most populous nations, including India, the United States, Indonesia, and Pakistan, have scheduled elections for 2024 in what has been described as the biggest year for democracy in history. Well, I guess Al Jazeera. I'm just gonna read the last one. News, business, and economy. U.S. sues Ticketmaster Live Nation over a illegal monopoly. Justice Department accuses Live Nation and Ticketmaster of opening unlawful monopoly that drives up prices for fans. Well, that was all about Al Jazeera. This time I read a lot of, I guess I read 3 articles. And well, my boss I guess my bus delayed too much the travel, you know, because this is Saturday. There's nothing on the streets. But anyway, or maybe I never pay attention to how much time I spend on that bus. Well, I like it. The Norwegian article. Somehow I do dream about living in Norway, despite the cold, despite the freezing weather. I do dream about it. But the question is, it's just expensive to survive in Norway. But you know, I was watching Instagram reels, and on Instagram there was a video showing the Norwegian garbage. There was a lot of food over there, you know. So Norway, it is a wealthy country. It's a lot of money. Of course, my dream is not to be a beggar. But if you live in the global south with no job, you know, jobless, with 3 dogs, you have to find a good garbage, you know, the garbage of the meat store, butcher. I guess the name is butcher. Well, definitely dogs should eat, or anyway, you should think about how you will feed your dogs. I wonder if I could find food for my dogs in Norwegian garbage. But this question is it came a little late than the question of how take my dogs to live in Norway. I guess these dogs I will just try to give my dogs away to someone else here in Chile. My big problem is Tommy, because it's so big. It's a big dog. It's a big male dog, so he's a danger for another big males. But he's a danger because he's the champion. I guess if you have a dog like Tommy, you should be prepared for your dog's defeats, you know. Or anyway, though, you know, I don't like that much this country. I always say that. Like when I was reading the Palestinian news, I was thinking about this Palestinian team. So this Palestinian team, it is a team of refugees, of immigrants from Palestine right here in Chile. And well, this team is cool. It is a soccer team, Palestino. And I have a jersey, but somehow I don't know how to explain, but the same Woke's people, like Norwegian, even Norwegian people, everybody's supporting. So right now we are all comrades, but that's not true, you know. We are not all comrades. This country, Chile, is is the most unique country in Latin America. Imagine that. It's not Mexico, it's not Brazil, it's Chile. So in my opinion, this is a terrible country. Terrible. I prefer go back to Brazil instead. And that's what I will end up doing. In that scenario, I will keep my dogs with me. We will go to Brazil by foot, running. Yeah, I don't like this society. I mean, it's Palestino Jersey. You know, there's too much moralism. I guess moralism will not change nothing in life. If moralism will change anything, Palestinians already will have their own state. But keep what I just said in the bus. Even Palestine, they are contributing to Israel, to the Israel cause, to Zionism, by using the SWIFT system, the SWIFT economical system. Because, as I was saying, SWIFT people, powerful people, they make a lot of money and they have religious needs, spiritual needs. And on these spiritual needs, they tend to sympathize with Israel. Even myself, look this church over here. I will show you this church on the front. There's a lot of advancement from this church. And this church is all about Jesus Christ. And as I am single and lonely, I'm targeted by this advertisements from beautiful blonde and Latin young women, beautiful, calling me for this church. Maybe to play basketball, but this is like I'm atheist, you know. But what happens with rich, powerful people is that they need a religion like Zionism.